Hello, sweet friends. Welcome back to my channel, Home Sweet Classroom. Thank you so much for visiting me and joining me in my teaching journey. If you are new, I am a teacher and I teach overseas serving military children. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my podcast list and what I am currently listening to. So if you guys are interested in listening to that and learning more about what I'm listening to through podcasts, go ahead and just keep watching. So I'm going to be sharing with you like a kind of a list of what the different podcasts that I listen to, and I use actually two different apps to listen to my podcasts that I listen to probably about daily. And the first one is the iTunes podcast app that I have on my iPad and on my phone. And I also have another app for it's just the podcast app, and it's like a purple icon, and they're both super easy to use, and just you can find like all kinds of content on there. If you're not interested in listening to what kind of listens I listen to for education, they also have different podcasts that you can listen to as books, and they just like go by genre, and you can search them as well. Super easy to use, and they also have suggestions that you can like at the bottom they have also suggestions according to what you're listening to in the podcast. So let me share with you guys the different listening podcasts that I have on my list currently and that I deeply enjoy listening to because they have helped me grow as a teacher. They've helped me get through things as a teacher, and they've also given me ideas and professional development all through this podcast. So let me tell you about the first podcast that I've been listening to, and it's the Simply Teach by Kelly Jackson. Now, I found Kelly Jackson in a Simply Teach teacher on Instagram, and I just immediately had to keep listening. I loved the content she was sharing on there, and it was just so helpful. Currently, she has several podcasts out. She has about 48 episodes. So if you would like to listen to Simply Teach, she has a lot of different episodes. And currently, my most favorite one is the Summer PD Opportunities for Teachers. And in this episode, she talks about I'm playing it. Let's see. She shares 5 online courses that teachers can take this summer as professional development, and there are virtual trainings on classroom management, time management, classroom setup, and organization, as well as free virtual trainings featuring many different topics. So I really appreciated this episode because she talks about how there's like free professional development trainings over the summer, and she also talks about the if there's like lifetime access to them and whether you can join them and how you can go, where you can go to get these episodes, just a wealth of different types of professional development over the summer that I don't even have to leave my house. I can stay on my couch in my PJs and drink my coffee. I just really appreciated that. And when it came out, it was like perfect timing right into summer break. And she talks about how when she recorded it was a couple months before, and she purposely brought it out for coming into summer. So that was really great. She really thinks about her audience. She takes into consideration all the teachers out there. So I really like that episode. That was my most recent favorite. And then before that, she talks about free classroom organization challenge, stress and classroom management with Linda. And she has so many on here. Practicing self-care, which is something that I really enjoy listening to. And they're all fairly short. 15 minutes, 13 minutes, 17 minutes, pretty short. Okay, so that is a Simply Teach podcast for teachers with Kelly Jackson. Okay, so I'm going to go on to my next listen, and it is the Teach Me Teacher, a podcast for educators. In this podcast I listen to, there's about 118 episodes, so quite a bit of episodes. And in this one, their most recent one does an episode with Genuine Teaching for lesson planning tips. Now that's like on my list to listen to. I haven't listened to it yet because this is something like I want to sit down and listen to and write notes on. So I do want to get to listen to that and be able to take my notes down for it. But also recently I listened to Flexible Seating Q&A. There's 2 parts to this episode, and I really enjoy listening to this because a lot of the times I have a lot of questions on flexible seating. I think there's always room for improvement. Even though you've been doing it for a while, there's always room for improving it and modifying it, making accommodations for those students. And I feel like you can't get enough of ideas and helpful tips from other teachers. It just keeps coming, and it's something that I really appreciated to listen to. I think the questions were on Instagram, and then he put them out as a Q&A and then kind of worked through it that way. But that was a really good listen. And let's see, it does other episodes with other guest teachers like year 1 and 2 with A Latte Learning, Help, Do I Do Guided Reading with Kelly Sanders. So a lot of the episodes are, some are short, some are long. So sometimes I get to listen to part of it, and then the other part I listen to another time. Teach Me Teacher is a really good listen. I really enjoyed it. I can't say how much I've enjoyed it anymore, but this was really great to listen to as an educator. Let's see, some other ones that I've listened to. The next one I listened to is A Class of Their Own with Ty Cook. I found Ty Cook actually on Instagram, and when I was listening to his stories, I think I didn't really come to realize that he had a podcast. It was more of the content I was listening to, but I actually found him through Too Cool for Middle School. And now, if you're not familiar with Too Cool for Middle School, she is amazing. Megan, which is Too Cool for Middle School, she is so knowledgeable on social justice and just all of that world out there. A Class of Their Own actually does an episode with Megan from Too Cool for Middle School, and I actually learned a lot from it. This episode that I'm talking about, she talks about social justice. She talks about Ethical Fashionista, her YouTube channel, and answering questions from Instagram. So a lot of these things talk about discussing like social studies, and because she is focused on social studies. So Ty from A Class of Their Own really focuses on other teachers and talking about their work and getting ideas and just like sharing it with other people. Like, he loves to bring guests onto his platform and talk about different things and just share that knowledge with other teachers. So I really appreciated that. An episode that I really enjoyed listening to is actually episode 10 on his podcast list, and it's Mindful of Teaching, and she shares how to stay positive and present in the classroom and her teaching experience. So I really enjoyed listening to this because it helped and it reminded me to be mindful of teaching and to be positive in the classroom, and taking that with me because it really does like brush off on my students. It really does help my students also be positive. And if I have a positive atmosphere around me, I think students will too. So that was really helpful to listen to as well. And getting to know other people as in their teaching experience is always so much fun. I love listening to that. Also does an episode with Naturally Elementary, and she's a really great teacher as well. She talks about actually Happy Teachers Change the World, the book, and how she plans on incorporating it into her classroom. It's actually a read that I've enjoyed also reading. It's a book it's called Happy Teachers Change the World, and it's a really great book. I actually haven't finished reading it because I'm always referring back and forth to other parts of the book, but she talks about how she's incorporating it into her classroom. So these are really great episodes. I love that he connects to other teachers and talks about other content. So the next podcast I'm going to tell you about is Close the Door and Teach by Ronnie from A Teacher's Wonderland. And she is really great because I have really enjoyed listening to her episodes, and One of the episodes is helping students get into reading. She talks about the tips that she has for getting students to read and get excited about reading. Another episode recently is episode 13, which is Don't Compare Yourself. And she talks about the hardest part is stopping yourself from comparing. So she gives some advice in this episode, how not to worry so much as teachers and probably as people as well. And the next topic I'm going to tell you about is her topic on new moms' rights in schools. Now, this is a topic I'm actually really strong about, and that's how I actually connected myself to her podcast, is because she talks about in an episode on breastfeeding moms or new moms that are teachers that don't know their rights in school, or she wants to tell people about the rights in school and the struggling with it as well, and understanding the rights and rules when it comes to breastfeeding your newborn in your classroom. So she discusses the different things that moms have said about their principals and how they've tackled the problems faced ahead of them. And I personally have some experience with this. My smallest is only a year old, a year and 4 months now. And handling it going back to school and handling it in the classroom has really been kind of a struggle. At the beginning it was a struggle, and I don't think a lot of moms know. And she talks about this through her episode, and it's just nice to know that somebody else is listening and other people are listening and appreciating it and understanding it. And it would be nice for other teachers, even if they don't have babies, if they're not new moms or their children are already big. Rules and laws and all those things change, schools change, principals change, and it's just nice to know that if other people are listening to it, they can get a better understanding and connect to those teachers who are actually going through it, and going through the struggle. So I think it'd be nice for other teachers, as you know, we talk about teachers support teachers, and I think it's really good for everyone to listen to, not just new moms. So that was a really good listen, and that's really what connected me to this podcast, Close the Door and Teach. So the next episode, or the next podcast I'm going to tell you guys about, is Educators to Educators. And I'm actually just following along in my iPad, like my podcast list. So when I look back and forth, that's what I'm looking at. Educators to Educators podcast is actually, she's an education consultant, and her name is Carrie Conover. She has been a really great listen. Like, I've really enjoyed this episode, her episodes, and how she talks about different things. And I'll just kind of read some off her list. She has 46 episodes, and her most recent one is supporting the grieving teacher. Now, I have not gone through this, but I have coworkers who have, and it's just nice knowing that you can be there for them too. It's a two-part the second part of the series focuses on the important work of supporting a teacher colleague after a loss. This is so terribly sad, and I really feel for teachers who go through this and then have to go to work the next day and be okay. So she breaks down how the 8 do's and don'ts about on supporting a teacher who is grieving and returning to work. And I think this was like a really great episode, because I think as a teacher we're all connected so well with each other, and it was just nice listening to something that I can relate to. And one day if I come across that's something I can do, and I really think that's important. And talking again about teachers supporting teachers, that is definitely one way I can support another teacher and helping them out. Another episode, which is episode 43 in her podcast list, is Rethinking Tough Parents. Oh my goodness. So she talks about, it's just in her description, she says, the majority of parents are supportive and positive when it comes to their child's teacher, but every year teachers have a parent or two that make their jobs significantly more difficult. I really enjoyed this listen, because I it's something that I struggle with yearly, and I think everyone does too. So listening to this podcast really helped me understand and experience a high level, it's just a high level of stress, self-doubt, and significantly lowered job satisfaction. Oh my gosh. So I really appreciate how I can connect to it, and just when I listen to some of these podcasts, it's just like, I'm like, are you talking to me directly? That's like what I feel when I listen to it. So it's just nice being able to make that connection and get some help as well through ideas. And this was just like the perfect episode at the time. Some of the episodes are resumes, tips and tricks, cover letter, tips and tricks, how your thoughts control your workday, 6 career paths for teachers. And she talks about 6 possible paths for teachers for spending your entire career in the classroom. So really, really great episodes, educators to educators, by Carrie Conover. Go check her out. Go listen. I'm guaranteeing you're gonna find an episode that really speaks to you. Okay, so the next teacher I'm gonna tell you about is Healthy Teacher, Happy Teacher. Kind of like reminds me of the phrase, happy wife, happy life. Okay, so Healthy Teacher, Happy Teacher is by Jessica Martin, and I just recently subscribed to her episode, and she has 43 episodes, so quite evolved, not fairly new here. And the most recent episode is I am a teacher with social anxiety disorder. They coexist. Here's my story. So in this episode, she talks about her whole history with it, from where it all began and where it stands now, and how to deal with it. So really great listen if you're really dealing with that. So I'm telling you, like, some of these podcasts, they really speak to you, and it's just like, there's so much of a connection when you're listening to it. It's nice to know that there's somebody out there talking about it and recognizing that issue, or wanting to help other people. Other episodes are trying to stay positive over a new teaching assignment. That kind of relates to now for teachers during the summer. A lot of teachers I've heard got a new assignment, such as me. I'm going through a bit of a transition, so that's something that I would like to listen to. There's pre-summer smackdown, end of year tips, summer plans, and book recommendations. Ooh, that is going on my list to listen to. So I'm telling you, like, there's a lot of episodes on here that really connect to teachers. Okay, so I'm going to hop on over to my other app or podcast that I'm going to tell you about, is the Not So Wimpy Teacher podcast. Now, this is by Jaime Sears, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. But this is a new podcast that I'm listening to as well. Fairly new to me. I just found it, just starting to listen. And this podcast is for busy teachers, is what she says, who want to engage their students in meaningful hands-on learning, receiving simple, innovative, and practical teaching tips and ideas for teaching math, reading, and writing. So lots of good information, lots of a wealth of knowledge and ideas if you're teaching all the contents or just teaching a particular content. So I was browsing through her episodes, and lots of great episodes. She talks about how to teach writing without hating it, teaching writing in units of study. She talks about why you need a writing workshop, grammar skills, end of the year tips for 18 teachers, 5 things you need to do before summer break, end of year student gift ideas, end of classroom theme days, which is something I did. If you haven't seen that episode before, in my playlist, go check it out. Helping your dyslexic students. So I think this podcast is more focused on different areas in the classroom, such as writing, like she mentions, math, reading, and then like dyslexic students, substitutes, word problems. So it's a little bit more focused on content, which is something that I really, really liked, because it's something that I could listen to when I'm needing a particular subject area. So This is a really good listen. I highly recommend going to check her out. And it was Not So Wimpy Teacher podcast by Jaime Sears. Really good listen. And she has really great reviews on here. And I could keep going, guys. There are so many podcasts out there to help teachers and just growing as teachers, getting some professional development. You don't need to go to a training. You can listen to right from home, going where you're working out, going for a jog. Those are the different ways that I listen to podcasts, and just help me out as a professional to grow and keep learning as well, so I can take that into my classroom. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video with me and listening to my podcast list and what I'm currently listening to and enjoying, and joining me in this professional development growth as teachers do during the summer. I really enjoy listening to all of these podcast listens to help me in the summer as well, that you can listen to right at home right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and gained some insight and some ideas of what you might want to listen to over the summer break. And yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It helps me understand that you are enjoying my content that I'm sharing with you guys. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Ciao for now.